Derek groaned as he blinked against the harsh neon lights of the alien marketplace. His head throbbed, a mix of cheap space booze and regret. He vaguely remembered bidding on something, but that was probably just a dream. Right. A loud ding echoed from a floating hollow screen above him. Congratulations, esteemed buyer! You have won the exclusive auction for a certified Solari battlemate. Finalized transaction, 400 credits. No refunds. Derek squinted. Certified what now? A muscular, four-armed alien shoved a datapad into his hands. Sign here, meatbag. Derek frowned at the fine print. This contract states that I am legally bound to, wait. Love slave? His brain short-circuited. I think there's been a mistake. A door whooshed open. Heavy footsteps approached. Derek turned. His stomach dropped. She was 7 feet of pure, alien muscle, with gleaming obsidian skin and glowing amber eyes. A long, bladed tail swayed behind her, slicing the air. Her form-fitting armor only emphasized how terrifyingly built she was. She stopped in front of him, exhaled deeply, then dropped to one knee. I am HFY Korea of the Solari Prime. By law, I am yours. The auctioneer grinned. Enjoy, human! Hope your pelvis is strong. Derek's soul left his body. Whoa, WHOA. Hold on. I didn't mean to. HFY Korea looked up, confusion flickering across her sharp features. You hesitate? Derek's brain scrambled for an escape route. Yeah? Because, you don't actually have to do this. You're free. Freedom is good, right? HFY Korea's eyes widened. Then she clutched a fist to her chest, her voice shaking with emotion. You would give me freedom? Then I choose you. Derek opened his mouth. Closed it. Ran a hand down his face. That's not how that works. A sharp beep from the datapad made him glance down. The fine print updated. Acknowledged. Buyer accepts willing submission of subject. Contract binding is now permanent. Derek screamed internally. HFY Korea rose to her full, intimidating height. You need not fear. I will guard you with my life. Guard me? From what? A passing alien bumped into Derek's shoulder. Before he could react, HFY Korea spun, seized the offender by the throat, and lifted them off the ground. You dare touch my mate? Derek's heart stopped. Oh my God! Put him down! The alien flailed, choking. Sorry dude, I just tripped. HFY Korea snarled, then dropped him like trash. The alien scurried away. She turned back to Derek. There. He will not trouble you again. Derek rubbed his temples. Lady, you cannot just assault people. Her head tilted. Would you prefer I kill them cleanly? He stared at her. Are you serious? She crossed her arms. Yes. Derek inhaled sharply. Okay. You know what? I just need to go to the nearest legal office and get this undone. He stormed off. HFY Korea followed. Of course she followed. Minutes later, Derek slammed his hands on the counter of the station's Contractual Disputes Bureau. The clerk, a bored-looking blob of flesh with 6 eyes, barely glanced up. I need to cancel a purchase. The clerk handed him a form. Cancellation fee is 10,000 credits. Derek nearly choked. 10,000? The auction was only 400. Slavery's illegal. Unbinding a sentient being from an ownership contract is a complex process. Derek turned to HFY Korea. Just tell them you're not my love slave. HFY Korea blinked. But I am yours. Derek slapped a hand over his face. Not like that. The clerk sighed. There is an alternative method. Derek perked up. Yeah? What is it? The clerk scrolled through his screen. The bond can be severed by either 1. A climactic ritual challenge or 2. A proven dissatisfaction of needs. Derek frowned. Explain. The clerk adjusted his glasses. The first option requires you to fight her in unarmed combat until one of you is incapacitated. Derek looked at ZY Korea's massive biceps. Then at his own noodle arms. Then back at her. Option 2? The clerk skimmed further. You must publicly prove that you cannot satisfy her needs. ZY Korea arched a brow. But he can satisfy my needs. Derek coughed violently. Can we not phrasing, please? The clerk, unfazed, continued. You'll need to stand before a tribunal and state, under oath, that you are physically incapable of fulfilling her expectations as a mate. Derek's face burned. This system is insane. The clerk shrugged. It's very straightforward. ZY Korea leaned in, examining Derek curiously. Why would you need to prove such a thing? You are strong. Derek waved frantically. Nope. No. We are not having this conversation in public. ZY Korea turned to the clerk. This tribunal. Do they require a demonstration? Derek grabbed her arm. We're leaving. ZY Korea followed without question. The clerk called after them. If you reconsider, hearings are every second cycle. Derek stomped back toward his ship. ZY Korea walked beside him like a dutiful shadow. Perhaps you are right, she mused. Derek exhaled in relief. Finally, something reasonable. She nodded. There is no need for a tribunal. I know you will satisfy me. Derek walked into a wall. Derek sat in his pilot's chair, head in his hands. ZY Korea loomed beside him, arms crossed, watching him like a predator waiting for prey to move. You seem distressed. Oh, do I? Derek groaned. Maybe it's because I'm now legally attached to an alien warrior who won't take no for an answer. ZY Korea's tail flicked. I take many answers. But I will not abandon my mate. For the last time, I am not your mate. She frowned. Is it because I have not yet proven my worth? Derek sighed, rubbing his face. It's because you don't need to prove anything. You don't belong to me. You're free. ZY Korea's eyes softened in that unnerving way that made Derek's stomach knot. Then I am freely choosing to stay by your side. Derek slammed his head against the console. The comms beeped. An incoming transmission flashed across the screen. Attention, Derek Carter of the Rust Bucket. This is the Varkash Guild. We have received reports that you have claimed a Zalari battlemate. Our representatives wish to speak with you immediately. Derek's mouth went dry. Who the hell are you? A different voice cut in, smoother and more dangerous. The ones who had a prior claim on your new acquisition. ZY Korea bristled. I belong to no one but my chosen mate. Derek swiveled in his chair. Not helping. The voice continued undeterred. You have two options, human. Return the Zalari to us, or prepare to be boarded. Derek turned back to ZY Korea. Wanna tell me why a crime syndicate thinks they own you? She shrugged. They placed a bounty on me after I refused to be their warlord's concubine. Derek choked. Their what? ZY Korea scowled. He was unworthy. The ship rocked as a boarding alarm blared. Great. Just great, Derek muttered, flipping switches. How do I always end up in these situations? ZY Korea cracked her knuckles. Shall I kill them? Derek nearly had a stroke. No! She pouted. Just a little? A loud clank echoed as the airlock was forced open. Armed Varkash mercenaries poured in, weapons raised. Their leader, a tall reptilian, sneered. Stand down, human! Hand over the Zalari, and we might let you live. ZY Korea stepped in front of Derek, rolling her shoulders. You will not touch him. The leader chuckled. Cute. But we came prepared. Derek gulped as more mercenaries piled in. Oh, yeah? This seems fair. ZY Korea cracked her neck. Numbers mean nothing. I will protect my mate. For the last, you know what? Fine. Let's go with that. Protect your mate. The mercenaries lunged. ZY Korea moved. Derek barely had time to duck as she launched herself forward. Blades, fists, and bodies collided in a blur of violence. The ship shook as bodies slammed into bulkheads. Derek winced as one particularly large alien was hurled straight through the cockpit glass, sucked into open space. The leader staggered back, bloodied. Wait! We can renegotiate. HFY Korea grabbed him by the throat, lifting him effortlessly. You threatened my human. Derek sighed. Try not to kill. She flung the leader into the bulkhead. He crumpled. Him. Or do that. Whatever. HFY Korea turned to Derek, grinning. You are safe. Derek surveyed the wreckage. Oh, I am? That's nice. The ship's comms crackled again. Derek Carter, the Varkash Guild won't forget this. Derek groaned. Of course not. HFY Korea knelt beside him. Are you unharmed? Derek slumped in his chair. Physically, sure. Emotionally? Different story. She smirked. You should rest. I will stand guard. Derek eyed her warily. Define stand guard. HFY Korea took position beside his bunk. I will watch over you as you sleep. Derek flopped onto the mattress. I'm in hell. HFY Korea smiled. Sleep well, mate. Derek woke up to the unsettling sensation of being watched. He cracked one eye open. HFY Korea stood at the foot of his bed, arms crossed, eyes locked onto him like a predator tracking prey. Gah! Derek flailed, nearly rolling off the mattress. What the hell? Were you watching me sleep? She nodded. Yes. His eye twitched. That's creepy. HFY Korea tilted her head. I was ensuring your safety. From what? Pillow bandits? She considered that for a moment. Are they a threat? Derek groaned, rubbing his face. I can't do this. I cannot do this. The ship's comms crackled to life. Attention, Derek Carter. This is Customs and Immigration Enforcement. You are required to submit for an intergalactic partnership validation audit. Derek blinked. A what? HFY Korea perked up. It is a test of mate bond authenticity. Derek pointed at her. Oh, that sounds like total nonsense. The transmission continued. Failure to comply will result in deportation, fines, and possible imprisonment for unlawful procurement of an unregistered spouse. Derek's stomach sank. I knew bureaucracy would kill me one day. HFY Korea's tail flicked. Shall we destroy them? Derek held up a finger. 1, no. 2, you keep suggesting that way too fast. A new voice interrupted. This one smoother, with the false kindness of a customer service rep who hated their job. Greetings, Mr. Carter. This is Auditor 6V29. Per Regulation 673B, all sudden interspecies pairings must be verified for authenticity. Derek groaned. I swear to everything holy, this is not what it looks like. The auditor continued unfazed. You will report to the nearest verification station, or we will dispatch enforcement units to retrieve you. Derek sighed, rubbing his temples. Great. Just great. HFY Korea crossed her arms. Then we shall go. We will prove our bond. Derek gawked at her. You want to do this? She nodded. Yes. You are my chosen mate. For the last time. Derek stopped himself, exhaled. You know what? Fine. Let's just get this over with. A short shuttle ride later, Derek found himself seated across from a stone-faced alien bureaucrat inside a cold, sterile office. HFY Korea sat beside him, posture perfect, tail wrapped neatly around the chair leg. The auditor, a gelatinous being with way too many eyes, adjusted their data pad. Mr. Carter. Ms. HFY Korea. We will now begin the validation process. Derek forced a smile. Super. The auditor tapped their screen. Step 1, Physical Compatibility Assessment. Derek's brain stalled. Excuse me? HFY Korea leaned in. Does this require demonstration? Derek nearly choked. No, IT does not. The auditor ignored him, scrolling. Step 2, Emotional Bonding Questionnaire. Derek exhaled. Okay. That sounds reasonable. The auditor glanced up. How do you express affection? Derek hesitated. I don't know. Normal ways? ZY Korea answered smoothly. I display my devotion through acts of combat, protection, and unwavering loyalty. Derek side-eyed her. That's horrifyingly on brand. The auditor scribbled something. Mr. Carter, how do you reciprocate? Derek opened his mouth. Stopped. Slowly turned to ZY Korea. Her glowing amber eyes watched him expectantly. The silence stretched. Derek cleared his throat. I have provided her with a place to stay. The auditor frowned. That is not affection. That is housing. ZY Korea's expression darkened. He has done more. Derek gulped. HFY? She nodded solemnly. Yes. He shares his rations. The auditor typed. Noted food-based bonding. Derek slumped in his chair. This is my life now. The auditor moved on. Final step, verbal declaration of partnership. Derek's whole body tensed. Come again? The auditor read from the tablet. Both parties must state, clearly and willingly, why they have chosen each other. Derek let out a hollow laugh. You cannot be serious. ZY Korea answered without hesitation. I choose him because he is honorable, cunning, and unwavering. He sees beyond my strength to the warrior within. Derek blinked. The auditor nodded. Mr. Carter? Derek scrambled. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. ZY Korea was staring at him. The auditor tapped their screen. Failure to answer will be taken as invalid. Derek blurted. I choose her because, she scares away my enemies. Silence. The auditors slowly turned their many eyes to ZY Korea. Miss ZY Korea, is this true? She smirked. Yes. I enjoy it. The auditor paused. Then stamped the approval file. Validation complete. Derek nearly wept. Wait. That worked? The auditor shrugged. It meets the criteria. Derek slumped in relief. Great. Fantastic. We're leaving. As they exited, ZY Korea walked beside him, pleased. You chose me. Derek sighed. I chose survival. She smirked. That is the same thing. Derek walked into a wall. Derek sat at the ship's controls, gripping his temples as another alert blared across the dashboard. Urgent notice. Your partnership registration has been flagged for secondary review. Compliance is mandatory. Non-compliance will result in fines, imprisonment, or asset seizure. Derek groaned. Are you seeing this? ZY Korea glanced at the flashing screen. Yes. Bureaucracy is relentless. Derek leaned back, exasperated. I thought we passed the validation audit. ZY Korea nodded. We did. Then why the hell are they still after us? She tilted her head. Perhaps they require further demonstration? Derek threw up his hands. Oh, sure. Maybe they'd like a live-action performance this time. ZY Korea's tail flicked. I am willing. Derek choked. That was sarcasm. The comms crackled again. A smooth, infuriatingly calm voice echoed through the ship. Derek Carter, your application has been selected for a randomized depth of bond examination. Please report to the nearest administrative judiciary center for further review. Derek's fingers twitched. You have got to be kidding me. ZY Korea stood, cracking her knuckles. Shall I prepare for combat? Derek shook his head violently. No combat. No killing. No demonstrations. She sighed. Very well. The ship docked at a sprawling, sterile government station. Derek stepped onto the platform, dreading whatever bureaucratic nightmare awaited. ZY Korea followed, head held high. A tall, four-armed official waved them into an office. Mr. Carter. Miss ZY Korea. Due to highly unusual circumstances surrounding your registration, we require one final test. Derek forced a smile. Of course you do. The official adjusted his glasses. It is simple. We will place you both in a stress simulation room to assess the depth of your bond. Derek blinked. Define stress? The official smiled. We will expose you to high-pressure relationship dynamics and unexpected challenges. Derek laughed. Oh, so a Tuesday? The official ignored him. Failure to display sufficient relational unity will result in nullification of your status. Derek turned to HFY Korea. You hearing this? She nodded. A test of our bond. We will pass. Derek sighed. If I die, haunt them. They were escorted to a bland, empty room. A digital voice chirped overhead. Simulation commencing. The lights dimmed. A holographic scenario materialized around them. Suddenly, they were seated at a candlelit table in what looked like a fancy restaurant. Derek blinked. Oh no. I know where this is going. A robotic waiter rolled up, deadpan. Your test, a standard romantic meal. Orders must be placed, conversation must be engaging, and eye contact must be consistent. Derek gawked. This is insanity. HFY Korea picked up the menu. I will have the blood soup of my ancestors. The waiter beeped. Invalid. Choose from human-compatible dishes. She frowned. Then I will have the nutrient-dense meat slab. The waiter turned to Derek. And for you? Derek sighed. A beer and something fried. The waiter processed the order and rolled away. HFY Korea leaned forward. Now we engage in bond-strengthening conversation. Derek rubbed his temples. Oh, great. What do couples even talk about? HFY Korea steepled her fingers. Our future. Derek coughed. Future? She nodded. Where we shall travel. How many offspring we will produce. What enemies we will defeat together. Derek nearly fell out of his chair. Offspring? She tilted her head. Would you prefer a trial battle first? Derek leaned back. I would prefer to wake up from this nightmare. The robotic waiter returned, placing a suspiciously fancy plate in front of Derek. He barely recognized the food. HFY Korea's dish, meanwhile, looked like a giant slab of seared meat. She picked up her knife and fork, then threw them away. Derek watched in horror as she grabbed the meat barehanded and took a ferocious bite. The waiter beeped. Penalty, improper dining etiquette. HFY Korea wiped her mouth. I was efficient. Derek exhaled sharply. Okay. We can still fix this. Just talk normal. HFY Korea thought for a moment. Very well. Derek. How do you plan to die? Derek slammed his hands on the table. That is not a normal question. The waiter beeped again. Penalty, conversational distress detected. Derek groaned. This is rigged. HFY Korea frowned. You refuse to discuss battle or death rituals. Because it's weird. Derek hissed. Talk about something normal. Like, I don't know, favorite activities? HFY Korea's eyes lit up. Hunting. Derek face-bombed. Of course. The waiter's screen flashed red. Final stage, conflict resolution test. Derek stiffened. That sounds bad. The waiter rolled back, carrying a new dish. It was burnt beyond recognition. Derek frowned. That's not what I ordered. The waiter beeped. Your mate prepared this dish. HFY Korea smiled proudly. I cooked for you. Derek's stomach dropped. The waiter continued. To pass, you must consume the dish with gratitude. Derek eyed the charred lump. You made this? HFY Korea nodded. Yes. It was my first attempt at human cuisine. Derek's chest tightened. He was so screwed. HFY Korea watched intently. The waiter beeped. Failure to eat will result in bond failure. Derek closed his eyes. This is how I die. He picked up a piece, braced himself, and bit down. His entire soul left his body. HFY Korea beamed. Do you like it? Derek forced a thumbs up, tears in his eyes. The simulation beeped. Conflict successfully resolved. The room faded back to normal. The official from earlier reappeared, nodding at his tablet. Congratulations, Mr. Carter. Your bond has been fully validated. Derek barely held back a sob. As they left, HFY Korea walked beside him, looking smug. You endured my cooking. Derek wiped his mouth. I survived your cooking. She nodded. Then we are truly bonded. Derek side-eyed her. That's not how that works. She smirked. It is now.